Hey guys, it's Ellen here, and today we're doing another ink and wash. This time, little butterflies and some coneflowers and just these little vines. I go everything step by step. If you're a Patreon member, you could download the traceable up in here. You can click on that. If you're not a Patreon member, check it out. I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials every Thursday, which is 4 tutorials a month that are not on YouTube. And soon I'm going to be hopefully adding in live streams on the higher tier. So, yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section. I also give, I always attached a couple of reference photos for the butterflies on here, so you're not left in the dark. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, let me go over my supplies. I have a 9 by 12 piece of Arch 100% cotton cold pressed paper. This is the pad. Looks like that. You can get it anywhere. Art supply stores. Paper towel, paints, paint water jars. I'll most likely be using my Grumbacher 10 and my Princeton 8 long round today. These 2 brushes. Of course, I'm going to use my Sharpie Ultra Fine Point permanent marker. You can get this anywhere, any drugstore, any store these days. I have 2 reference photos that I'm going to attach to the tutorial. If you're a Patreon member, you get to download the actual sketch that I'm doing here. So if you look at the reference photo, you'll see there's 2 butterflies with some cornflower, and this one didn't have a cornflower, but I decided to make a small cornflower over here, and then I'm going to add some like greenery. So I'm just going to show you my drawing part. I'm probably going to fast forward a little bit, but I'm going to just take my my Sharpie pen, draw out the design, and then we're going to go into painting it. So then we have an ink and wash. This is like a good cheap way to make a pretty like watercolor without having to do a lot of work. You can do this with a doodle, any kind of thing you want to do. Just, yeah, I would draw with pencil, which I did here. You can lightly see it, the pencil, or the tracing. And then I'm going to go over this. You're going to see me drawing this with my Sharpie. So let's watch that. Okay, so once you've drawn out a basic, you know, drawing, which I showed you, you can go back in and tweak it. You can take some of your Sharpie and you can go in and, you know, make little shading. This is where you can get little details. You can put some shading under the stem here, like to indicate, or you can paint it, you know, the shadow. There's two different ways you can do it. There's all different ways you can do it. You can add more little doohickey things, I call them. But I like this ink and wash technique. It's just simple. Can have a really nice effect. Once you get all your drawing in, then you can go in and you can, excuse me, you can start to put in the wash. Now I didn't do all, in the reference photo you can see all these white dots and white dots on the body and whatnot. I would paint them in, I would paint like this part black, and I would just go in with white gouache, which I'm going to show you, and just paint the dots, make life simpler and easier. Why make life harder? Life's hard enough. As you know, life's a little crazy right now. So you can make the lines, my lines are pretty skinny because I have the Sharpie pen, but if you wanted to make them a little thicker, you can do that. But you could just do the same thing with the paint too. It's just like another way of just putting in design and an ink and wash, because people seem to really like the ink and wash ones. I'm going to be putting out like a pretty Parisian cafe one tomorrow on my Patreon, so if you're not a member, you might want to join that. So there we go. So then I'll erase my pencil marks that you see underneath. La la la. And then of course we have our reference photo for all the colors. We're going to be pretty pink in the cornflower. This is like green and pink. And then we've got the oranges and yellows in the monarch butterfly. So I will start off with my, actually, and you know what? Because they have the lines in here on the butterfly, it makes it simple. You can just wash in the orange and yellow color. So I'm going to take my Grumbacher 10. I have my cadmium yellow deep here. I have a little bit of brilliant orange over here. And I'm going to activate some burnt umber at the same time and get the three going here. But basically, the butterfly is mostly orange, a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to take some of the orange and mix in some of this magenta. A little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. I feel like a red-orange color. There you go. It's a combination of three. So you can just take the cadmium yellow deep in the water, just down a little bit more. I might add a little of this burnt umber to it. So it's like 50-50 with the water and the yellow. And because I already drew the black lines in here, I could just paint right on top of it. Just like I said, it's so easy. And it's really orangey yellow, but I'm just going to put some of the yellow in first. See, I'm just going to wash it in over here. And then I'll grab my brilliant orange, kind of bleed some of that in here. Mostly more orange up in here. In this section. Add some of that little bit of red orange. Listen, don't get crazy if it doesn't look like the colors that you see. You're just playing around with it. It doesn't have to be this perfect butterfly. So you're just going in, you can add a little more brownish orange. Got some of that burnt umber and that brilliant orange. Put a little dark, just washing in a little dark color down here. Can get even a little brighter with the orange too if you want to. But it's really like a yellow orange, most of it. See? Go back in and add some more of that yellow orange. Just right over there. It's so simple. So then when we get that one ready to go, you might as well go down here and put in all the colors in this one. And then we'll just wash in the same stuff. A little bit of, this one's behind, this butterfly wing is behind, so we're going to add a little bit darker orange here. Just wisp that in here. And again, just going to wash in some of this deeper color and spots. This orangey tone. See, I'm just tapping it in here. Really, the black and the white spots really kind of make it. Clean my brush. So now I'm going to make that pretty pink with the cornflower. You don't even have to make it that color. I mean, make whatever you want. I have just magenta. I'm going to wash it down. I'm just going to put that color right in. I'm still using the Grumbacher 10. The coneflower seems to have a little more of a purplish tone to it. Maybe you want to add a little bit of, a teeny bit of ultramarine if you want to get on the purple side. I'm just play around, just washing in the pink. See, just loosely painting that in. And believe me, if you go over the lines or around the lines, it doesn't really matter. It has that really loose sketch effect to it. I kind of like it both ways, where you're going in the lines and not going in the lines. Back here, obviously, we're going to have a little bit darker shade because the butterfly is creating a shadow. Put a little of this dark magenta in here, just like that, and one underneath here. And then we can quickly just put in the one down here. This is just supposed to be like a loose, pretty sketch. I love this technique. It's simple. It's easy for beginners. And then we're just playing with the line wash and then going in wet and wet. So we've got this, see how I don't even make it perfect inside the lines. And we can go grab some of this darker magenta. Kind of just wash some of that in up here. You can play around with that. See, I'm going to add some more of that up here too, like I did with that one. I like how that one kind of looked. Don't get bogged down with like, it's supposed to be a perfect looking realistic flower. It's a sketchy kind of look. These other flowers out here, you can make them any color you want. Maybe I'll go a little purple. I have ultramarine here. And I'll grab some magenta. Like a 50-50 mix. Makes a really pretty purple. And I can put that in these flowers out here. They kind of look like poppies. Just throwing in a little purple. You can make it blue too. One more on the blue side. I might add a little more ultramarine. Get a little bluer. Like I said, it doesn't have to follow some particular color pattern. Just go up here. I made one up here. Just really loosely painting this in. And then I could go and add some more blue, ultramarine. Just kind of bleed it right here on the inside part of the petal. Look how pretty that is. Do the same thing. Just really simple, guys. Right? And then we'll mix up, I'll take my Princeton 8 long round to do the greens. I'll have a cadmium yellow deep here. I've got a little bit of that brown still left over. And I'll grab my peacock blue, and it makes a nice pretty green. It's very bright already, so you want to keep it in that color tone. So I just have these little vines, and I'm just going to quickly just wash in. So just see, I'm just tapping in a little bit of color here. I already drew the little lines in here. This is the fun part. You don't have to do much work. And like I said, if it comes out of the line, it's no big deal. It will look pretty. So this is something simple you could do if you wanted to make a greeting card for somebody, or a simple little painting for somebody. That's not going to require a lot of technical skill, but you want it to make it look like a nice, you know, almost professional design. A lot of artists like to do this kind of sketch work. So I'm filling in all these little leaves here and the stem. And I'm going to do the stem on the coneflower. I'm going to add Prussian blue to that green that I have. Oops. It's a darker green. get that dark. Add a little brown to that. It's a deeper, darker green. So I added some brown to that Prussian blue, green with a yellow. And it's a lot deeper, darker. Just kind of moving the paint around. I want it to have this loose kind of sketch look. I don't want it to be a serious looking design. Sometimes you just gotta have fun, right? And over here, I think I missed some of the greens that were in here. And you can just keep adding some other things like the little vines that I have in here. Go ahead and add a bunch of those, you know? You can add different color ones. Don't have to keep it all that way. I'll clean up my brush and I can add some pretty yellow to the center here. We didn't do the center of the coneflower yet. You can go and add that in. So it's kind of like a green with a little pink on top. So I'll wash in this really pale green here on the bottom of that middle part, and then I'm going to take my magenta and I just put some on top. It's going to bleed a little bit. But then it will look just like the photograph. Now while this is dry, you can go back in with your magenta and put in some darker value tones. See? On the pretty little petals here. Play around with this, guys. I really want you to just try and play around with. So you already have the sketch in there. It just has a nice pretty look. This one kind of really fizzled out, so go back in and add some of the pink. All right, now monarch butterflies, pretty black, and the watercolor isn't going to kind of cut it. It's going to really be faded out. So I have some black wash over here. Just going to water it down. It's one of my little staples I like to use. We're going to do a little cheat. So we're going to fill in this whole entire body black, and that's why we have black and white gouache. Black and white gouache in your staple of having paints is great. Make sure it's really dry before you start painting in here too. So we're going to just kind of fill in this color all in this little, the end of the butterfly that you see in the photograph. Just loosely painting that in here. And over here on the edge. Now you can go over to you can go over on top of those little lines that you drew in the beginning, because they're pretty tiny, because you can see from the photograph the monarch butterflies lines in here are pretty thick. So I might go back over the Sharpie lines that I did with the paintbrush. Just to give it a little more realistic look. You know, still has that sketchy look, but see, I'm going to go back in here with the tip of this brush. This is the Princeton 8 long round. Over here. There's a little bit parts over here I missed. I can fill in some of the areas that were supposed to be black that I made orange. And that's easy to do because, well, you can paint dark colors over light in watercolor. So you see, I'm just going to go over all these little areas. Again, it's just this loose, sketchy kind of look. It's drying pretty light. If you really want intense black, just use less water and go in and put that black wash down. In the beginning I had it pretty watered down, so it kind of got like a gray tone. And same thing here. So you just put, it's like a guide basically with the lines that you made with the sketch. Go right back over all that. And when that dries, we can go back in and use our white gouache and put all the little cute little dots. And we're pretty much done with this cute little watercolor sketch, I call it. So you're just going to go back over all these areas. That you did in the beginning. There. So I'm going to let this butterfly dry and come back, and we're going to take our white gouache and finish up some details and be done with this cute little butterfly flower sketch using ink and wash. Okay, so now that that's dry, I got my white gouache here. I'll just get it a little bit wet, not too much because you want it to keep it mostly opaque. And then you just kind of go in and just put in these little dots. Not like, you know, perfect little dots, but kind of like how you see in the photograph, these oblongy, kind of wonky dots on the end of the butterfly well, wing, and over in here. Just a simple technique. Just put that all in here. Because it really would be hard to paint all around the white. You could use masking fluid, so if you have that, you can do that. If you don't have a gouache, but you have masking fluid, you could just use masking fluid. And just put a little dots on this guy. See, these aren't perfect. I'm just going to put these little white splotches in. But it'll make it look like a real butterfly. I'll turn this one, do the same. On the body. I'm not getting bogged down by how perfect it should look. Just kind of just throwing in those little white dots. Boop, boop. There's our little butterflies. So at this point, you can go back in again to all the areas. Okay, so this got too pink in here. I might want to go back in and add that green. It bled too much. Really want more of a yellow green. I could add some yellow in here. Same thing down in here. I just want a little bit of pink. And you can take your magenta. I'm adding a little bit of yellow to it, just a little bit of reddish kind of color. Ooh, that's bright. Just throwing in some other tones on those leaves that are in the, excuse me, petals that are inside here. And down here. It's like a nice bright color. And you could just keep adding more things. You could go back in again and draw like another. I just realized I got gouache all over my hand and I got it all over the paper. Real time, guys. I'll just take that off real quick. You could do with watercolor, or you could do with the, again, with the Sharpie. You could just fill in a little more detail, a little more flowers. Going and grabbing some of this blue again. Washing in this ultramarine. And then the yellow, I could put a little bit of orange underneath the yellow here, just to give it some more depth and definition. That's kind of it. Like I said, I could add some more of these little sweet vines, bigger leaves, a nice doodle. You can have fun with all this. Add more flowers, you know, little daisies. I didn't even put daisies in here, but I could add a nice pretty little daisy. You know, just floating. It doesn't even have to be on a stem. Just add something like yellow, more yellow. Let's go in here and add a little yellow daisy. Why not? There are no rules, guys. There's just enjoyment, fun, changing things up. like I said, and go and add some more of these little vines. It could be on the bluer side. I might just take some peacock blue, mix it with some green, some turquoise. Doesn't have to be the same kind of pretty greens. Just change it up. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoy this little ink and wash tutorial. Basically, you're drawing everything out, and then you're going and just washing in the color. And then if you have black and white gouache, you just go in and add those at the end. If you don't have black and white gouache, like I said, you can, if you have masking fluid, you could do that way. You can just mask out all the little dots and then just paint over it with your color, like a Payne's gray, deep Payne's gray, or black. So thanks, guys, for stopping by. And if you're a Patreon member, like I said, you can download the Traceable. If you're not, please join. You can look at it to please join it. So I have exclusive tutorials on Thursdays, ad-free videos, and Traceables to go on my YouTube. And coming up soon, I'm going to try and do a live on the higher tier. I'm going to start adding some live streams once a month. So, all right, guys, take care and happy painting.